Los Angeles, 1989. Mike Tyson stands at the absolute peak of boxing. 23 years old, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, undefeated, 37 wins, 0 losses, 33 knockouts. He's not just a fighter, he's a phenomenon, a cultural icon, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, the baddest man on the planet. Everyone knows his name. Everyone fears his power. He walks into rooms and conversations stop. People stare, not out of admiration always, but out of recognition of raw, dangerous power. This is a man who ends fights in seconds, who makes professional fighters look like amateurs, who carries an aura of violence that precedes him everywhere. Tyson's fame brings access to everything: money, women, parties, respect, fear. He's learned that being Mike Tyson means normal rules don't apply, means he can do what he wants, means consequences are for other people. His team reinforces this constantly. Handlers, managers, promoters, lawyers, they all exist to make his life easier, to remove obstacles, to ensure nothing interrupts the cash flow that Tyson's fists generate. When problems arise, they disappear. When women complain, they're paid off. When incidents occur, they're buried. The machine protecting Mike Tyson runs smoothly, efficiently, ruthlessly. Tyson has internalized this protection, believes it's permanent, believes his fame and power create an impenetrable shield, believes he's untouchable. One afternoon in late spring, Tyson is at a high-end restaurant in Los Angeles. Spago on Sunset Boulevard, the kind of place where celebrities gather, where being seen matters as much as the food. Tyson is there with his entourage, 4 or 5 people, friends, hangers-on, employees, the usual crew that surrounds famous athletes. They're loud, taking up space, drawing attention. Tyson likes it that way, likes people watching him, likes the power of walking into a room and changing its energy completely. At a nearby table sits an older black businessman, distinguished-looking, well-dressed, successful. He's having a quiet dinner with his wife. They've noticed Tyson's table. Hard not to. The noise carries, but they're minding their own business, trying to enjoy their evening. Tyson's group gets louder, talking about women crudely, using language that makes other diners uncomfortable. The businessman glances over. Not confrontational, just aware, just noting the disturbance. One of Tyson's crew notices the look, says something to Tyson, points at the businessman. Tyson looks over, stares. The businessman meets his eyes briefly, doesn't back down but doesn't escalate, just acknowledges the look and returns to his conversation. This bothers Tyson. Most people look away immediately, show deference, show fear. This man didn't. This man looked at him like an equal, like someone who wasn't impressed by Mike Tyson, like someone who thought the loud behavior was inappropriate regardless of who was doing it. Tyson stands up, walks over to the businessman's table. His entourage gets quiet, watches. The restaurant's energy shifts. Everyone senses something happening. Tyson stands over the table. The businessman looks up calmly. Tyson says, "You got a problem?" His voice isn't loud, but it carries. Everyone nearby can hear. The businessman says evenly, "No problem. Just trying to have dinner with my wife." Tyson says, "You keep looking over here." The businessman says, "Your table is loud. Hard not to notice." Tyson leans closer, intimidating, using his physical presence as a weapon. Says, "You know who I am?" The businessman says, "I know who you are." Tyson says, "Then you know you should mind your business." The businessman pauses, then says something that changes everything. Says calmly, clearly, without aggression but with absolute firmness, "Being famous doesn't mean you own every room you walk into. Stay in your place like everyone else." The restaurant goes silent. Tyson's entourage freezes. Nobody talks to Mike Tyson like that. Nobody tells the heavyweight champion of the world to stay in his place. The disrespect is stunning, the audacity unthinkable. Tyson's face changes. Anger floods through him. His hands clench. He's seconds away from violence, from doing what he does best, from hurting someone badly. The restaurant manager appears, quickly, professionally, asks if everything is okay, positions himself between Tyson and the businessman, creates a buffer. Tyson stares at the businessman for another long moment. The businessman stares back, unafraid. The manager gently suggests maybe Tyson should return to his table, offers to comp his meal, tries to de-escalate without taking sides. Tyson finally walks away, returns to his table, but he's seething. His crew tries to laugh it off, tries to say the old man doesn't matter, but Tyson can't let it go. Stay in your place. The words echo. Who does this man think he is? Telling Mike Tyson to stay in his place. Mike Tyson, who destroys people for a living, who has more money than this man probably makes in a lifetime, who is recognized everywhere in the world. That man had the audacity to speak to him like he was nobody, like his fame and power meant nothing, like he was just another person who needed to follow social rules. The disrespect burns. Tyson finishes his meal quickly, leaves the restaurant angry. His crew knows better than to mention it. They talk about other things. But Tyson stays quiet, processing, planning. Over the next few days, Tyson can't shake the encounter, keeps replaying it, keeps feeling the sting of being put in his place publicly, keeps thinking about how that man showed no fear, no deference, no recognition of Tyson's superiority. He tells people about it, his trainers, his managers, his friends, expects them to be outraged on his behalf. Some are. Say the old man was disrespectful. Say he should have shown proper respect. Say Tyson should have handled it differently. Others, the ones Tyson respects more, say something different. Say maybe the man had a point. Say being the champion doesn't mean acting however you want in public. Say respect goes both ways. Say fame doesn't excuse bad behavior. Tyson doesn't want to hear this. Dismisses it. But the words stay with him. A week later, Tyson is in New York, training for his next fight. He gets a call from one of his lawyers. There's a problem. Someone is threatening to go to the press about an incident involving Tyson and a woman. Details are vague. Tyson has been with so many women he doesn't immediately remember which incident this is. The lawyer explains. A woman Tyson met at a party several months ago. They spent time together. She's now claiming it wasn't consensual, claiming Tyson forced himself on her, claiming she said no and he didn't stop. She wants money to stay quiet, wants a significant settlement. Otherwise she's going to the media, going to the police, going public with her story. Tyson says she's lying, says it was consensual, says she was willing, says this is just about money. The lawyer says whether that's true or not, they need to handle it, need to make it go away, asks how much they should offer. Tyson says pay her, whatever it takes, make her go away. This is standard procedure. This has happened before. Women who regret their encounters with Tyson, or who see an opportunity for money. The machine kicks in, makes the problem disappear. Except this time, it doesn't disappear. The woman takes the money, signs the non-disclosure agreement, but she talks anyway. Not to major media, not formally. But she tells friends, family, people in her community. The story spreads quietly, gets to the ears of journalists who cover boxing, who cover Tyson. They can't publish it because of the NDA, can't prove it, but they know. They start looking closer at Tyson, at his history with women, at other incidents that might have been buried. They start asking questions, talking to people who've been around Tyson, hearing stories that never made it to print. Patterns emerge, multiple women with similar stories, similar experiences, similar fear about coming forward. The journalists can't publish any of it, not enough proof. Too many NDAs, too much legal protection around Tyson. But they're paying attention now, waiting for something they can prove, waiting for someone brave enough to go on the record. Meanwhile, Tyson continues his career, fights, wins, makes millions. But something has shifted. The invincibility he felt is cracking. The encounter at Spago keeps coming back to him. Stay in your place. The words feel prophetic now, like a warning he didn't understand at the time. Like that businessman saw something Tyson couldn't see, saw that all this fame and power and success was built on a foundation that could crumble, that acting like rules don't apply eventually leads to consequences, that there's always a price for arrogance. Months pass. Tyson loses to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, February 1990, the upset of the century. The invincible champion knocked out in the 10th round. The loss devastates him, not just professionally, but psychologically. He believed he couldn't lose, believed his power was absolute, believed he was untouchable in every way. Douglas proves him wrong, shows that everyone can be beaten, everyone can fall. After the loss, Tyson spirals. His personal life becomes chaotic. His marriage to Robin Givens falls apart publicly, brutally. His management situation becomes a disaster. Don King takes over his career. His training becomes inconsistent. He's still Mike Tyson, still dangerous, still capable of destroying opponents. But the aura is damaged, the mystique cracked. He wins some fights, looks good in moments, but he's not the same, not unstoppable, not invincible, just human, just vulnerable, just someone who can lose. July 1991, Indianapolis. Miss Black America pageant. Tyson is there as a celebrity guest, meets Desiree Washington, 18 years old, college student, Miss Black, Rhode Island. What happens between them in his hotel room that night becomes the defining moment of his life. Desiree reports it as rape, goes to the hospital, gets a medical examination, files charges, presses forward despite knowing what it will cost her. The case goes to trial, January 1992. The prosecution presents overwhelming evidence, medical testimony, witness accounts. Desiree's own testimony, consistent and credible. The defense tries to discredit her, tries to suggest she wanted money, tries to create reasonable doubt. It doesn't work. February 10, 1992. The jury finds Mike Tyson guilty. Rape. 2 counts of criminal deviant conduct. He's sentenced to 6 years in prison, serves 3. The price of the offense appears, not immediately, not in the restaurant that night when that businessman told him to stay in his place, but eventually, inevitably. The pattern of behavior that Tyson thought he could maintain forever finally caught up. The belief that fame created immunity finally proved false. The assumption that consequences were for other people finally shattered. That businessman in Spago didn't cause what happened to Tyson, didn't make him assault Desiree Washington, didn't force him into the choices that led to prison, but he saw something, saw the arrogance, saw the entitlement, saw a man who believed he was above everyone else, above common decency, above social norms, above accountability, and he called it out. Stay in your place. Don't let fame make you think you're better than everyone. Don't let success make you think rules don't apply. Don't let power make you think you can treat people however you want. Tyson didn't listen, couldn't listen, was too deep in his own mythology, too surrounded by people who reinforced his worst impulses, too convinced that being Mike Tyson meant never having to face consequences. The price appeared anyway, not that night, but later, when it mattered more. When the consequences were prison instead of embarrassment, when the cost was his career, his freedom, his reputation. Looking back, people around Tyson say there were warnings, moments when someone tried to check him, tried to tell him he was going too far, tried to suggest that his behavior would eventually catch up to him. The businessman at Spago was one of those moments. Not the first, not the last, but one of the clearest. A stranger with no stake in Tyson's success or failure. No reason to flatter him or fear him. Just someone willing to say directly what needed to be said. Stay in your place. Recognize that fame doesn't make you superior. Understand that success doesn't grant permission to act however you want. Accept that there are limits to what you can do before facing consequences. Tyson heard those words, rejected them. Let his anger at being challenged override any wisdom they contained. Let his ego convince him that the man was wrong, disrespectful, out of line. Let the moment pass without learning anything from it. Days after that encounter, the price hadn't appeared yet. Weeks later, still nothing obvious. Months later, years later, Tyson was still fighting, still famous, still making money. But the foundation was cracking, the pattern was forming, the choices were accumulating. Until finally, in Indianapolis, the price arrived. not as punishment for one restaurant confrontation, but as the inevitable result of a life lived without boundaries, without accountability, without the basic recognition that other people matter, that their dignity matters, that their right to say no matters. The businessman at Spago probably doesn't remember the encounter, probably didn't think about it again after that night. It was just a moment, a brief confrontation with a rude celebrity. Nothing special, nothing memorable. But for Mike Tyson, those words echoed. Stay in your place. They echoed through his losses, through his conviction, through his prison sentence, through the years of rebuilding his reputation, through every interview where he had to address what he did to Desiree Washington. They echo still, a reminder that fame and power are temporary, that consequences are permanent, that the price of arrogance always appears eventually. You just don't always know when or how. Mike Tyson heard "Stay in your place" in 1989. The price of ignoring that advice appeared in 1992. 3 years of connecting dots. 3 years of escalating behavior. 3 years of believing immunity was permanent. Then the bill came due. That's the lesson. Not that one confrontation determines destiny, not that one moment of being checked guarantees future consequences, but that patterns matter, that choices accumulate, that living like rules don't apply creates a debt that must eventually be paid. Tyson paid it, served his time, rebuilt his life, became by some accounts a better person, more reflective, more honest about his failures, more willing to acknowledge harm he caused. But he can never undo what happened, can never unrape Desiree Washington, can never give her back what he took, can never fully erase the stain on his legacy. The price appeared, and it was higher than anyone imagined that night in Spago when a businessman told a famous fighter to stay in his place.